Walking is the perfect exercise. It's aerobic, good for bone strengthening and body toning. It's easy and it's free. In this month's segment of Fitness for All from Duncaster, we're going to talk about ways to get the most out of your walk and how to make it an exercise you look forward to doing. Welcome to Fitness for All from Duncaster, a monthly showcase of fitness and exercise tips for everybody. I'm Andrea Obston, and today I'm joined by Lucy Eyre, the Wellness and Fitness Coordinator at Duncaster Aquatic and Fitness Center. Lucy is a senior fitness instructor and personal trainer. Lucy, tell us why you think walking is such a great exercise.
Well, as you said in the intro, it's free, it's easy, it's great for anybody, and you can walk for 5 minutes, you can walk for 30 minutes, you can walk in winter, spring, fall, so it's a wonderful exercise that you can really enjoy.
How do you get started for people who haven't made this part of their daily routine?
Well, one of the things that to get started is to really commit to doing it a few times a week, not just, oh, I'm going to go and walk out to my car and back, but really say, okay, you know, Monday mornings is a good time for me. So, and I like walking in the mornings, so I'm going to try walking for 20 minutes on Mondays. And then do that for a few weeks, see if you really like it, and then you say, oh, well, maybe I want to add a Wednesday.
Okay, so literally start one day.
Exactly. Start one day.
Okay.
Go for a reasonable amount of time. You know, you don't want to say, I'm going to go out on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm going to walk for 2 hours. I don't care what the weather is. Because you know what? By Wednesday, you're going to hate it. You're going to be sore. You're going to be frustrated. And it's not going to work.
Well, if it's going to make me sore, why would I want to do it?
Exactly. And so that's why I say, go slow. Take your time. Little increments. Any kind of movement, any time is good. So even if you say, you know what, I'm just going to try it today for 10 minutes. That's awesome. Because I guarantee you that if you did it 3 days a week for 10 minutes a week, that first week you're going to start to feel better.
Really?
You're going
that
to start,
early?
Exactly. You're all of a sudden you're probably going to sleep a little bit better. You're going to be awake and present a little bit more because, again, what you're doing is you're getting that blood pumping through your body. So many of us spend so much time sitting these days, whether it's, you know, in our job or, you know, we've had some injury or we're older and we're afraid of falling, so we don't move as much. So we keep tightened up just like this. Walking is a perfectly natural and, as again, free way to get in some kind of exercise. And there's so many ways to do it. You can do it alone, you can do it with a friend, you can do it in pursuit of another hobby. Say you're an antique collector or you like to go to junk shows. Well, what a great way to get your walk in that day is you can go to that, walk up and down those aisles. And you're getting your 20 minutes in.
So adding a walk with a friend, adding somebody in, maybe keeps you honest, maybe keeps you going.
Well, you know, again, for safety reasons, it's always best to walk with somebody, especially as we age. And walking alone, some people really enjoy walking alone, and I'll give you some tips on and when you do decide to walk by yourself. But walking with a buddy, one, the time goes much faster.
True. Yes.
You probably are going to walk a little bit longer. And if you're like me, you have solved all the problems of the world by the end of your walk.
What a great way to exercise.
So,
you mentioned something to me when we were preparing this show called mindful walking. Talk about that.
Well, that is really being present when you're walking. It doesn't mean that if, as I said in the antique, that you can't walk, but it's setting yourself up when you begin to walk, and we'll go over this, I'll show you on how to really align yourself, your body, because again, you know, that wonderful song, you know, head, shoulders, knees and toes. Well, they're all connected. And if they're not lined up or aligned correctly, then you are prone to injury. You're prone to hurting, especially again, as we age, those joints are a little stiff.
Okay.
So this is a way to really sort of check yourself before you begin.
Do you want to show me?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So you're standing up. Here, and what you want to do whenever you walk or even stand, especially as we age, we want to keep our feet apart. I like to keep mine just about hip width apart. My toes are pointed nice and straight. The reason I do that is if I put my feet together, and you can check this out. Put those feet together, and I come along and push you.
Yeah.
Oh boy, isn't that easy to fall over?
Okay, yeah.
So you want to keep those feet apart because again, if I press you now, all right, much more stable. If you think about babies when they begin to walk, they don't start walking like this, right? They walk like
Very wide.
this.
Yeah, you're right.
Nice and stable. All right. So we want to think about that again.
Okay.
We're not going down the runway anymore.
Oh, yeah, none
Right.
of that.
You know, with this walk here.
It's not good.
And no, it makes you, it waggles your hips, but you don't want to do that anymore. So we have our feet nice and wide, toes
Okay.
are pointed forward. All right. So then we're going to come up to our head, this little gem right here. And we want to get that head and we want to center it right on our shoulders. So you want to take a little bit of time, and you'll notice the more you practice this, you're going to find a sweet spot where that chin is nice and level, not too up, not too down, and you're going to pull it back. All right? And you're going to notice one thing immediately. When you pull that chin in, that chest goes up.
Yes, absolutely.
All right?
Okay.
So there it is. It's centered right on those shoulders, or I say take those earlobes, center them right over your shoulders there. Chin is nice and level. Then I like to roll my shoulders up and back and let them just relax. Again, I don't want to squeeze the scapula or my back, but I just want to keep them nice and relaxed. Then I'm going to think to myself, all right, now, where are my hips? Are they under my shoulders?
Oh.
Are they aligned up with my shoulders? How does that feel? So, and is my pelvis pointing forward like this? We love to do this, the slump, right? So now I'm going to rock those hips back and forth a little bit, and I'm going to try to align them with my shoulders.
Okay.
All right? So you might have to tilt your pelvis forward a little bit.
Yeah, I did.
You might have to stick your butt out a little bit more. Everybody's different. Then you go from your hips down to your knees. Are your hips over your knees? Same thing. Nice little bend in those knees. You never want to hyperextend those knees back, right? Keep it. And then again, you want to center those knees over those feet, right? Okay, my knees. So there I am. And you actually feel better when you get used to it and you're in alignment, or as they call it, the kinetic chain, because just like Einstein, for every action there is a reaction. Same thing with your body. So if your head is off of alignment, then that's going to throw
Something
your
else will
weight
go. Yeah, okay,
forward.
I got it.
So here's my big thing about your head and walking is. And so much of our society, it's not just, the aging population, it's mostly kids today, but we're like this all day long. Why? We're looking at books, We're looking at our cell phones. We're playing video games like this. So everybody is getting this neck like this. So this is a great practice to draw that head back and stuff. But again, and center it on your shoulders. The other problem is when you bring this head forward, you bring a lot of weight forward. So if you think about it, now my weight, instead of shifting onto the center of my feet, my weight is now towards the front of my body.
Right.
Which means that I have to work harder to pick up those feet.
Oh.
And I'm most likely going to catch my toes more often because the weight is here.
Oh.
And so it's easier when I do catch my foot to go rolling forward. So I really want to think about, again, and if that's, again, part of mindful walking is starting off like this, aligning myself. Even if you're with a friend, you can be gabbing, blah, 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 alignment. And then when you're actually in the process of walking, you begin to notice your breath. Am I breathing? You don't want to hold your breath. You want to start to get into, okay, is it a natural cadence? Am I breathing too hard? If I am, maybe I want to slow down and get that heart rate down. Because again, you don't want to overdo it, especially if you're starting out. You want to start small and do it more often. So 10 minutes today, maybe 10 minutes tomorrow. And really, as I say, make it mindful. So you're noticing your breath. The other thing is you're really thinking about how you're walking. You're picking up those feet. Another thing that happens as we age is that our feet, instead of, again, when we were little, our toes would come up up, and we keep them nice and high. Well, now what happens is we either flatten that foot or we drop those toes. So we really want to be mindful about picking up those toes, bending those knees. And as I do, sometimes when I'm walking by myself or even with my friends, I'll do interval walking, which means that I might say, all right, for 1 minute, we're going to walk heel, toe, heel, toe, and we'll do it for 1 minute. Really exaggerate it. Press that heel down, roll that foot up.
Why are you doing that?
Because again, it brings a sensation to the bottom of my foot. Memory for my mind. My mind is saying, oh boy, now I'm strengthening the muscles in my foot now, lifting up that toe, really putting that all the weight on the heel, which is the correct way to gait. Heel, roll it all the way to the ball of the foot. Then you go to the other foot and do the same thing. And again, the more exaggerated it is, the more muscle that you're going to be strengthening, and you become more mindful of how you're walking. And you're actually strengthening yourself as well.
Okay, so in my family, it's all about the outfit.
Oh, of course.
So let's talk about the right way. You and I have tried to model what we think is right. So what are the right things to wear?
Well, I always go for layers.
Okay.
That's first and foremost. Again, because if it's too cold, you can put on more layers.
Right.
My hands are always cold, so I always have gloves.
Okay.
I mean, it will be really, especially if you're walking early in the morning or later in the afternoon when it tends to be more cold. So I like gloves. I like to have, depending again on the weather, you want to, before you walk, make sure you check the weather. Do you know what the temperature is? Whether it's too hot or too cold.
Okay.
Again, you really want to sort of stay out of those extremes. If it's super hot, we're talking, when the weatherman is telling you it's going to be a scorcher today, don't go outside. You really have to heed that advice.
Okay.
And wear the appropriate clothing. One thing is I never wear cotton. Never wear cotton.
Talk about that, because I think a lot of us think that's the best thing to exercise in.
Well, it is, and it's lovely, and it's a wonderful all-natural fabric, and I don't get anything, don't have anything against cotton until I start to exercise. The problem is anything that's cotton absorbs water. So if you sweat, that is going to be held in that material, and it's going to be against your skin for until you stop.
Yep.
Now that can lead to hypothermia. I mean, it's not a great way, and you don't feel good. And also, if you've noticed, if you've ever worn a cotton shirt and gotten it wet, it becomes this huge, long garment.
Not a good fashion
Not
statement.
a really good fashion statement, and also very uncomfortable. So you want a fabric that will wick that, take that
like
water.
What you and I are wearing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and now almost everything is made like that. It's spandex or a polyester blend. And again, they come in all sorts of colors, and you can look really
So talk
great.
about this, because you and I have two different approaches here.
Okay. I have on yoga pants, again, a spandex type of thing. They're long all the way down to my feet, and the reason that I would do that, or I would wear these types of pants, is if I'm walking off-road, say I went to Holcomb Farm, and I wanted to walk the trails there. And the reason I'd want my legs covered is for, as we all know, poison ivy, also ticks, and any other little snags and prickers that could really get around your, attack your ankles.
Is this ever all right? Because everybody's wearing these things.
Absolutely. Especially if you're walking indoors. I mean, that's perfect. But also if you're walking along our beautiful bike trails. Again, you're not around any type of vegetation. Most likely ticks are not going to be hanging out on pavement.
Okay.
They're really in the leaf matter, sort of out in the woods.
Talk about shoes.
Shoes, so important. I love my sneakers, absolutely adore my sneakers, and I wear my sneakers all the time. But one of the things I really have to think about is their age, because, some people say, I've had my sneakers for over a year and I love them.
It doesn't seem like a long time.
Okay, it is. It depends on how often you use them.
Okay.
I have sneakers for every sport that I play. And when I'm not playing that sport, I have tennis sneakers, then the tennis sneakers come off. A tennis sneaker, for instance, which has really good arch support, is only if you're going to play a couple of times a week. You should change that sneaker every six months.
Wow.
The same thing with walking. If you're walking in a pair of shoes and you're walking 3 to 4 times a week and you're walking for 20 to 30 minutes, they're going to give out pretty quickly. So not
How do you know that? How do you, I mean, because you look at them, I mean, these look fine. How do you know?
Exactly. One of the things you're going to notice is all of a sudden you're going to feel them give up. You're going to actually feel that the soles and the uppers sort of get really soft and comfortable, like gloves.
Yeah.
Right? And you're going to think, oh, they're really great. They are really great. And they're great if you want to wear them out in the garden, or they're great if you want to wear them into the water fishing or whatever. But they're not great for walking.
Huh.
What you want to do is check the bottom of your shoes on a regular basis and make sure that there's no wear. Andrea,
I'm looking.
Where that you can really see that the definition in the treads or the soles.
Okay. Yeah.
And you will definitely see wear if they're worn. You'll be able to say, oh yeah, that's wear. The other thing is if they feel like they're loose, especially in the uppers. Like, again, they've been nice and tight. Remember when you first got them, they fit so snugly and they were just yummy. And now they're even more yummy, but you get a little bit of wiggle room in that foot. It's probably time for them not to become your walking shoes anymore, but for you to go and invest in some more.
So talk a little bit about, because for every sport it seems like you need to stretch. Mm-hmm. Do you need to stretch before you walk?
I mean, stretching is great for you anytime.
Okay.
Again, it's sort of like walking. It's free, it's easy, it's great for your joints, it's great for your posture overall. So you don't need a warm-up like in many sports and other sports like tennis or golf or, swimming, where you really are going to be going right in and you're doing a lot of anaerobic activity.
Okay.
So you don't really need to warm up. I mean, I always like to sort of stretch and get, as I said, that alignment exercise.
Okay, do the alignment. Okay.
But, you can do things like, rotating those hands, a couple of times, roll those shoulders and forward, and other times you can just swing those arms to get those joints. But then again, this is before as you're getting ready to walk if you want to, but you really don't need to, because guess what you're going to do when you're walking? You're going to be swinging those arms, right? And you can make it more interesting again if you're bored and you're walking along and you're not with a friend or something like that. You can walk side to side for a couple of steps.
Hope nobody sees you.
Yeah, well, that's all right. You have to be an extrovert. You can't be an introvert, right? Exactly.
So we've talked a lot about walking outside. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are there options for people that, for whatever reason, don't like the outside? Seasons change?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there are plenty of places to walk. I mean, you can walk around in a mall. If you love to shop, you can do that. If you can walk in a grocery store if you want to. Now, I don't know how fun Stop and Shop would be if you arrived in your workout uniform and started pounding around up and down the aisles, but it still counts.
Do people still do mall walking?
Are there malls anymore?
Well, yeah, there is that. Good point.
Are there malls anymore? Yeah. Also, there are many gyms at our public high schools where you can go in and you can walk around. There are some sports centers, like I know the JCC has an indoor walking trail. I think even the Y has some kind of, the Granby or the Farmington Valley YMCA has an indoor loop there as well. So
and I suppose you can also use a treadmill.
Absolutely. So there's equipment. There's also something that's called an elliptical, which is another machine or a piece of fitness equipment that has you stepping and actually has you sliding back and forth, and it has your arms and your legs moving, which is so much more than a treadmill.
And you have that at
we have
Duncaster?
that at Duncaster, and one of the best pieces of equipment that I think that we have, and I think many places have them, especially for people who are aging, is called the New Step. And the New Step is a seated or a recumbent elliptical.
Really?
And so any age and stage, again, can get on it, and it's seated. So you sit down, and it's the same thing.
Sit down and
You're using
walk.
your arms and your legs,
Wow.
and you're pressing back and forth, and it's wonderful. And you can do that. 20 minutes goes by pretty quickly, especially when you have a television or a book.
So you have somebody that hasn't been into walking, and they want to start. Are they going to be sore?
It depends on how they do it. And this is what I always counsel everybody. First, before, if you haven't been walking, or you haven't been doing a sport, or you haven't been exercising, your first stop is to go and meet with your physician. And the reason you do that is because they can go over your past injuries, what kind of medications you're on. They will tell you, your heart rate, your maximum heart rate of what you should achieve, so you don't push yourself too far when you begin. So that's one thing. So you can review this, and then the physician can say, yeah, I think you're fine to go, or, oh gee, maybe you should try the new step, or your balance is off. So maybe before you start walking, or if you're going to walk, I want you to use a cane, or I want you to use walking sticks, or I want you to walk with a friend because you have a few balance issues. Or I want you to go to Duncaster and take their power balance class.
There you go.
So strengthen and practice balance.
Talk about walking sticks, because I'm seeing more and more people using them.
They're wonderful. They're similar to hiking sticks, but the bottom of that walking stick, it doesn't have a point like a hiking stick does, because again, with a hiking stick, you're sort of clamping into the ground to help you move along. The walking stick is great for stability, and also it mimics the elliptical that we've been talking about, because you really have to use those arms to plant that pole.
One or two?
Two. You have two. You can use one, but I am always adverse to doing one thing on one side.
Yes, okay.
Because you don't get it on the other side.
Okay.
So you always want to use two, and they're wonderful and can really get those arms moving, and at the same time they give you support. So if you are a little bit unstable, it's a really nice way to support yourself. Having said that, you can still enjoy walking with a walker. You can still enjoy walking with a cane. There's no preclusion, no, you can't walk. One of the things that's important about walking apparatus is that you check them annually for wear and tear. So again, with a cane, there's a little rubber cup at the end. You want to make sure that that's not worn down like the bottom of your shoes. So you want to replace that often. You want to think about that. With your walker, you get, I hate to say this, shorter as we age. So you want to make sure that it's adjusted to the right height.
Okay.
So over a year, things may have happened. You might have gotten a little shorter. Maybe if you're attending an exercise class and you're stretching, you might even have gotten a little taller.
Speaking of which, give us 3 big final thoughts to get us starting on a walking program.
Create a routine.
Okay.
That's the number one thing I can tell you, is commit to a routine. It becomes a routine if you do it for 4 weeks or more.
That's all you need is 4 weeks?
4 weeks, and by then
Wow.
the brain will say, okay, I've learned this, and now it's become long-term memory, and it's gonna become easier.
Okay, so the first is
Create a routine.
Create a routine, okay.
Number 2 is start slowly.
Okay.
So in other words, commit to a few days, commit to a small amount of time, 10 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
All right, that's
So
it.
commitment.
Slow down. Don't try to go at a clip pace. You don't want to go so that you're sweating and your heart is racing, even though that might make you feel like you've had a great workout. What it's going to do is, again, if you work out at too high of a heart rate, you're not doing yourself any good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So
Number 2.
Don't push it. That's
Right.
it.
And
Okay.
again, you don't want to get sore.
You don't wanna
Because
get
if you
sore.
get sore, you're not going to do it. You're not,
That's 3 good tips. So I want to
Exactly.
thank you, Lucy. I never really thought this much about walking, and I'm glad we had this conversation. Tune in next month for the next edition of Fitness for All from Duncaster, when we'll be talking about strength training with John Hoadley, personal trainer and fitness instructor for Duncaster Aquatic and Fitness Center. And if you have any question about today's segment or fitness for people over 50, please get in touch with Lucy at Duncaster. She's ready, willing, and able to get you started on a life-enriching program of fitness and wealth. I want to thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next month for Fitness for All from Duncaster.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.